Shall we start, ma'am? Shall we start, ma'am?
Yeah, let's go.
So,
Hey, good morning all.
we'll give a small intro, then you can start your session. Yeah, thank you. So on behalf of SSN Institution Innovation Council, we welcome Ramya Mahendran, who is a founder for Design Swiggle, for delivering a lecture on Introduction to Design Thinking. And this lecture is financially supported under Impact Lecture Series. And this is the second session we are organizing, supported by Institution Innovation Council. And I request Dr. Suresh Kumar sir to introduce Ramya Mahendran.
Thank you, ma'am. Very good morning to one and all present here. Ms. Ramya is the founder of Design Swiggle. She's a startup design thinking expert and business model coach with over 10,000 hours of experience in the innovation consulting and coaching. She's a certified person in design thinking, business modeling, and jobs to be done. And before Design Swiggle, she worked more than 7 years with the Cognizant Innovation Group and the Cognizant Accelerator as an innovation consultant and coach. She works with student entrepreneurs to build their business ideas into a successful business model. She had already worked with some of Tamil Nadu leading technology and business incubators, institutions, innovation councils, and entrepreneurships, etc. So ma'am's specialization areas includes setting up innovation strategy, opportunity identification, large-scale ideation campaigns, and facilitating rapid prototyping events like design service, jams, and hackathons, organizing large-scale innovation summits, and global idea crowd sourcing events. We welcome you, ma'am. Now over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Good morning all, and so lovely to see most of you. I know a couple of you had to wait because everyone else had to join, but nonetheless, let's get started. I would suggest that you guys have a paper and a pencil with you. You can take notes. Feel free to ask your questions in the chat. And if you can unmute at the end, and you can also ask audio questions. We'll keep it at the Q&A. But during the session, if you have any sort of questions that you have, record it in the chat so that we can see it at the end, okay? So let's get started. I'm so excited, but unfortunately, because it's a short session, I wouldn't be able to listen to introductions from each and every one of you, but maybe in the future I get to meet all of you and we could discuss more. But let's get started. As I said, quickly grab a paper and pencil, take some notes, put on some ideas, because that will make all the difference. Okay. Since I've already been introduced, I'll skip this. These are some of my interest areas. If you see, what does Ramya do 24/7, 365 days a year? This is pretty much where you will find me. That I'm pretty much interested in design, because I feel that it is a way in which you can improve all the products, services, and businesses that are out there. And that is why I choose this particular field. I am a computer science engineer. I worked as a coder, and I really used to like HTML, okay, because it was one of my favorite languages. I loved web development, and then my areas of interest are UI, UX, and so on. But later, after I finished my MBA, I shifted to innovation consulting. But the good part was that I was able to use all the learning that I had from the computer science side, as well as from my management side. So we combine both, and that's why you will see me talk a lot more about business design rather than just about technology or just about, business. So it's a combination of business, technology, and a lot of aspects of design. Right? So this is where you will find me. If any of you are interested in any of these things, you feel free to talk to me later. You can reach me on multiple social medias. I put up my contact information up later. All right. So now that you've seen a little bit of my persona, okay, I want to talk about the topic that we are here for. And before we do that, I would love to introduce you to one of the most favorite innovation definitions I have come across. Innovation, usually, see, most of you think you are creating something wonderful, beautiful, new, right? And I am so much for it. You guys should go ahead and create this. But most of the times what we are creating will be falling under 3 categories. One, you might create a device, this product, you might create a method, new way of doing things or a service, right? And then you might create a material. When I say material, it could be a raw material, which redefines the way certain thing is done. Okay, so this is pretty much what people do out there. And it doesn't sound hard to go ahead and invent or create or, manufacture a product, a service, or a material. But what does design perspective bring to the table? That's what we're going to see. Okay. So if you take a new device, there are companies like Apple, Tesla, okay, they're playing in the field of new devices. They want to create beautiful products, well-designed products, useful products, right? You know it when you see them. And the second kind of companies are the ones who want to create and redefine the whole way things are done. If you take a Uber or a Swiggy or OLX, these are the kind of companies that are saying, hey, this is how things are done traditionally. I'm going to take that and I'm going to challenge it and I'm going to do things differently. You don't have to, if you have a bike or if you have a car, you could become a service person. So none of these companies actually own anything, if you see. So they are redefining the way services are done. They're bringing rental models, lease models, subscription models. If you take companies like Netflix, they're still in that category. And the final thing is new material. So you might have an entire department working like on material science, chemical science, agri-tech, and they all want to rediscover or reimagine the uses of certain material. If you take, now mushrooms are considered a very interesting component for packaging. If you take thermocol, mushrooms are going to replace thermocol if you do it in a large scale. And that's a new way of saying, hey, I want to use a certain thing in a certain way, which has not been used before. And yesterday I came across an article where they're using, you all must have eaten corn puffs, right? It's like a chips, it's fluffy. You might have eaten, or you might have eaten something called a cheese balls. And all these are made out of corn. Basically, they grind the corn, they make it into a sort of sludge, and then they put it through a process where you make corn puffs. And they're using the same thing, but they're making packaging material. It's compostable, it's edible. So if you say people are actually trying to now rethink all these categories, but they are also adding a new mindset to it. And that's where we're talking about design mindset. And if irrespective of which field you'll be going to, you might become a government servant, you might become a banker, you might become a retailer, or you might become a data scientist. It doesn't really matter, because you can take these design principles that we're talking today and you can apply it to pretty much any field that we're going to talk about. Okay. So what should any designer actually understand? Okay. One, they should understand what on earth they're building. If you don't have clarity on what is that you want to create, maybe the what will change, but you will have a fair idea of what is that you want to create, at least as broad as saying, I want to create a new device, a new method, or a new material. Then who are you creating it for? Are you creating it for students? Are you creating it for teachers? Are you creating it for professionals? Are you creating it for the elderly? Are you creating it for the visually challenged? Could be a very broad set of who you are creating it for. And in those set categories, you might have subsets. That's fine. But you have a broad idea. This may help this set of people solve a problem. For instance, imagine you're creating a filters app. The filters app is supposed to help Instagram influencers, especially photographers, models, right? So irrespective of what you're building, you will know who you're building it for. And then comes, how does it benefit them? If something doesn't benefit me, right, I have a high doubt that I'm going to use it, buy it, hire it, or even recommend it. So unless the product appeals to me in the sense of it adds value to my life, I'm not going to use it. Which is the same for you. If you take about any choice you make in buying, from the last laptop you bought to the last bike you bought, or to the car you aspire to buy, you have a clear reason to buy it. Okay? You will know why you're choosing this. How does it add value? The value can be as trivial as it is showing you in a very nice light, like more stylish, doesn't matter. But you buy it for that reason. So if you get these 3 questions, then you get started on the journey. So I'm going to make some bold claims out here. You gotta bear with me. So all of us become innovators, but the problem is that all these innovators don't become great designers. Okay? Innovation needs a solution mindset, but design needs a problem solution mindset. That's the difference you will see. Okay? So these guys don't jump and say, I will create a drone. No. I want to wait and say, why should I create a drone? Who am I creating the drone for? How on earth is this drone actually going to help the person? Move to the problem. And then, irrespective, maybe you will end up building a drone, or you might end up building a rover, or you might not end up building any of this, and you might end up building an app. It doesn't matter. But they have stopped saying, I want to build this. They move back. Why am I building this? Who am I building this for? And then they proceed. So you see, there is a difference. Now, enough of me explaining, right? I want you guys to have a look at this picture. And every student, whoever wants to answer, you can unmute and answer, not a problem. But just to choose one of those photos. Don't choose more than one photo. Pick one of those photos and explain to the others why you think it's bad design. Okay?